Ladies and gentlemen, the brand new update coming soon to Rise of Kingdoms has been revealed over on the official Rise of Kingdoms Discord. So today we're going to go over all of these upcoming changes to Rise of Kingdoms. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts and opinions on all of this, some of which was already revealed in the face-to-face with the developers, including the highly anticipated changes to Crystal Tech in Rise of Kingdoms and a very small but super significant change to a buff in KvK that we will talk about here in just a moment. But first, what's going on, guys? Cheers. Now before we begin, of course, as you guys know, I am a partnered creator with Rise of Kingdoms, which means they support a few videos on the channel every single month, just like this one. But the most important support comes from you guys dropping a thumbs up down below and subscribing if you haven't. It takes 1 second. It helps out the channel a ton. And I also want to let you guys know that I am still a little bit sick. I have been going through it the past few days, so if I sound awful and I sound weird, I do apologize. You can check the post I have over on my community page here on YouTube for more info on where I've been. But anyway, with all that out of the way, let's jump right into the patch notes here. This is coming out on 5/13, so May 13th. That's about 1 week from today. The first thing is the Museum Day event series. They've done this, I think, for the last 2 or 3 years at this point. Are you ready to travel through time and space? Museum Day is upon us. Explore the mysteries of the ages through an exciting range of new events. We have the Trail of the Ancients. Complete 7 days of quests to earn amazing rewards. Mesozoic Mysteries. Collect excavation brushes, restore dinosaur fossils, and explore the mysteries of the Land Before Time. Y'all remember that movie from back in the day, Land Before Time? That was like, yo, that movie hit different when you were homesick from school and you turned on Cartoon Network. That was the only thing there. Awesome movie. I always cried at the end. Anyway, Jurassic Jewels. Exchange fossil tracks and rock chisels for incredible rewards. So one of these two things is going to probably be a more premium reward, and the other one is probably going to be something that you get from grinding barbarians. That is my suspicion. And so that means that this is probably not a 7k gems event, so keep that in mind. We have Protect the Supplies coming back. Sharp Eyes and Quick Hands is the jigsaw puzzle event that is coming back as well. And then we have Recharge Rewards. So if you guys are considering buying bundles in Rise of Kingdoms, you might want to wait for this because this is a great time to buy. There's also store.lilith.com/ROK. If you guys didn't know, that's where you can buy Flux scripts and earn some sort of Flux coins. And I also believe that you get a discount on some bundles if you buy them in bulk. So if you guys want to save a little bit, you can always go over there. I don't make any money if you buy Flux scripts, so it's up to y'all, but it's definitely like, that's what I do. It makes sense if you're going to spend money to do that. And I'm sure some of you guys didn't even know that Flux scripts existed. Anyway, moving on to Lost Kingdom optimizations, we have a ton to go over here. Okay, first of all, keener blades. They've got some improvements that they received from the Pioneer testers, and they're going to be changing a lot. First of all, they're adjusting the duration of chronicled chapters and lowered the difficulty of some chapter objectives. They rebalanced the distribution of passes and holy sites, increased the number of bastions, and they added level 11 passes, which will open towards the end of the season. Once the pass is fully open, all governors will be able to enter any arena area. So huge changes here, and this is why it is good that they have the Pioneer test servers. Moving on to the Lost Kingdom tier system. All dead and severely wounded units in your Lost Kingdom will contribute to Lost Kingdom points. When your Lost Kingdom has earned enough points, it will be upgraded to the next tier. When your Lost Kingdom levels up, and this is important, so pay attention, you'll unlock new Crusader achievements and earn a ton of gems. In addition, the Hall of Heroes unit return rate will be increased. Now, we talked about this in, I believe, a face-to-face with the developers, but this is a huge change. Why is that? Well, first of all, if you have a really intense KvK, in theory, you will be rewarded slightly more by getting more achievements, tons of gems, more of your units come back to you. That's a good thing, right? And the inverse is then also true. If you decide to go into KvK as a farm KvK and not participate, well, there's going to be fewer Crusader achievements for you to get, and less of your units will come back to you. And this, I think, is very important, right? I think Rise of Kingdoms and the developers should do everything that they can to incentivize fighting in KvK. And this might be the first step in that direction, right? I know that a lot of people have talked about matchmaking lately. Matchmaking for Rise of Kingdoms and the KvKs definitely could use some work, right? There are definitely times where matchmaking, for a KvK comes out and it's like, why on earth would these kingdoms be paired together in the way that they're paired together? It seemingly makes no sense logically, right? At least from the outside looking in. Maybe on the back end using their data, they think that it's fair, and maybe it is fair. We just can't see it, right? But the point is that if the community agree, and you know, if the players don't feel like it's fair matchmaking, then they may feel like it's not something that they want to participate in, right? But okay, with that being said, and me admitting that that is true, okay, it's also equally important to recognize that you can't only fight in fair KVKs. I know it sucks, but at the end of the day, this is a war game, and sometimes you are not going to have favorable conditions, and you have two choices: either give up and not play, or you can fight anyway and see what happens, right? And I think that the best strategy would be to still fight and see what happens, right? Even if it's an uphill battle, even if you're probably gonna lose, even if you're not gonna get the star, right? Sometimes when life gives you lemons, you gotta go to war. Okay, that's my new saying: when life gives you lemons, you have to go to war. And so, you know, I think that this is again another example of, oh, you don't want to fight in KVK, okay, well then too bad, you won't get full achievement rewards, right? Which I think is fair. I think that's fair. So I'm happy to see this. Again, hopefully matchmaking will continue to be, you know, improved and gets better and better over time, but at the same rates, like when more things like this come out, if they do, like people need to be prepared to actually fight in KVK. You signed up for it, okay? Maybe it turns out that the matchmaking is unfair. Tough luck, right? At some point you have to show up, right? That's my opinion on that. Anyway, moving on, Pioneer testing for Lost Kingdom optimization, Crystal technology rework. Ladies and gentlemen, in the new Crystal tech system, unit capacity technologies will be unlocked earlier, allowing governors to bring their full force to bear in early battles. This is very important. I've mentioned this countless times on the channel, but unit capacity is one of the most important things to get in the Crystal tech tree. Okay, the only thing more important than that might be all damage, but that happens so far into the tree that it's gonna be a while to get that. So getting troop capacity earlier, I think, is very, very good. This also, by the way, this is like a very soft nerf on some of the iconic tier upgrades, right? Because now like tier 3 unit capacity plus 500, that is so laughable. Like that is, I mean, it's always been nothing, don't get me wrong, but now that everyone on the battlefield is going to be able to more easily get higher troop capacities, plus the 50% that you get from, you know, just using an expansion item, right? Like this plus 500 is functionally garbage. You don't need this on basically anybody. It will not move the needle. This plus 1000, again, not really useful. Some things give you a percentage based unit capacity, which is okay, but it's still not, I mean, like it's just now the troop size, like the army sizes are getting so big now that it is like that on top of this, everyone getting more troops, like those iconic tier upgrades, I wouldn't even think twice about them at this point. They're pretty much useless. Next up, the new crystal technology system will allow you to focus on your strongest units. You'll be able to invest your crystals in the unit type you prefer without needing to research unit technologies you don't use just to unlock new ones. This is again something they mentioned in the face-to-face with the developers. This is big news because, as you guys know, I don't have a ranged march, and so every time that I have to max out my engine or my siege attack, it is just me throwing crystals in the garbage, right? And inversely, if you are a ranged exclusive player, great news, you can avoid 3 branches of the crystal tech tree, right? You don't need infantry, archers, or cavalry. You only need to focus on just that one, which is very, very good. And honestly, this change is super good for free-to-play players if you're going to focus in on just one troop type. Now, I still don't think that that is a good strategy, but like this is all in all a great change. So I'm really happy to see this. Some quality of life technologies will be introduced, such as the ability to summon a rune of your choice or quickly return defeated troops to your city. So this is something, again, they mentioned in the past, but one thing that they didn't mention is a rune of your choice, right? Of your choice. That's crazy. That's different than just summoning a rune near your city. A rune of your choice near your city is a big deal because that could be 10% troop health, right? Like, hello, that's a lot of stats. Like that's 10% troop health is how much health we have on like William Wallace's entire kit, right? And you could just choose to get that, or you could get the 7 attack 7 defense rune. That is great. Also, quickly return defeated troops to your city is good. We've seen this in different different kvks where you actually choose your buffs. I don't remember what they're actually called in those kvks. I think it's in like the Tides kvk, maybe. I can't remember exactly. My brain is like completely mush right now, but there have been instances in kvks where your troops, when they die, they're instantly back at your city. That's obviously great for being able to quickly reinforce and come back to the battle. So all good stuff here. These optimizations will be pioneer tested in Heroic Anthem first after the update. So Heroic Anthem gets it first as long as it is well received. I suspect that they will bring these changes to all kvks that have crystal tech. But a huge change that, you guys, I promise you, this is a massive deal right here. Okay, Past Glory. The buff for completing the first stage has been reduced from all damage plus 40% to all damage plus 30%. So this, as you guys might know, the content creators have a unique Discord where we have access to reach out to the people at Rise of Kingdoms. We can give them feedback on things. They can ask us for our opinions on things. And it's a way for all the content creators to kind of be in one place, and we can all kind of share ideas. And this change is one that I mentioned in that Discord probably less than 2 weeks ago, definitely less than a month ago. My concept of time has been awful lately, but I specifically mentioned this in that Discord, and I said, hey, have the devs ever considered reducing the buff that we get going into kvk, right? Because if you guys didn't know, a lot of people don't even know this, going into kvk you have plus 40% all damage. All your armies, all your rallies, all your garrison, everyone has plus 40% all damage. The entire map is plus 40% all damage, right? And as you guys probably already know, I'm recording this on the first day of the Bai Chi Wheel of Fortune, and the reason that this is significant is because with commanders like Bai Chi and King Arthur coming into the game, we are getting stronger and stronger commanders, right? And a lot of players have expressed some amount of frustration with these commanders getting stronger and stronger, especially with their active skills getting stronger and stronger and just hitting super hard. Your hospital feels really quickly and your troops die really fast, especially if they're out of position, right? And so one of the things that I suggested was like, hey, you know, maybe we don't need that 40% all damage bonus anymore, right? Like like we're already dealing way more damage than we were back when they first introduced this, right? And so it's interesting and possibly just a coincidence that they have now made this change upcoming into the game, right? And so it'll be nice to see how this changes, right? What I'm going to notice, or what a lot of you might notice, is you actually might feel like your armies are just worse, right? You might be like, wow, these armies aren't trading as well as they used to. And that, I mean, that could be the consequence of this. But on the flip side, the positives of this are that your enemies aren't going to be hitting as hard either. And so you'll be able to last a little bit longer if you are overextended or something like that. And I can easily imagine a world where as time goes on, they slowly reduce this from 40 to 30, and then maybe from 30 to 20, and then maybe they stay there for a while, and then maybe from there they bring it down to like 15, right? Like, who knows? But my point is that this is a good sign, right? This is a good sign that the developers know that because commanders are getting stronger and stronger, everything's just popping instantly in the open field, and we don't need that 40% all damage. Now, what I will say though is that I'm a little bit curious to know how players are going to react when they notice that some of their commanders perform a little bit worse, right? Because this is going to disproportionately affect commanders that have really high damage outputs, right? This is a difference of 10% all damage, and 10% all damage is much more meaningful when you have a 2800 damage factor AoE versus a 2000 damage factor AoE, right? Like 10% of 2800 is 280, 10% of 2000 is 200, right? So the reduction in damage of your weaker armies will be less significant than the damage from your higher end armies, but of course they're still stronger, so they're still going to perform better. I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see how the community reacts to this, and if people even notice it at all. I'm curious, but like, all in all, I think this is a great thing. I think we need to shift the meta away from crazy power creep in the damage direction and maybe switch more towards the tanky direction, right? I think we've gone like so far in this direction of all damage and AoE and like craziness in terms of damage output, and there's been like no counterbalance to that in terms of tankiness, right? We don't have commanders that have, you know, 40% health, 30% defense, 20% all damage taken reduction. Like we there's nothing like that, right? But you know, if they had those things, then obviously we would expect them to have an active skill like Philip, for example, where it's just a small 2-second buff, right? It's nothing crazy. I don't know. I'm excited for this change. I know this is a small change. You might not even notice it, and most people might not think it's that big of a deal, but I think this is a change moving in the right direction, and I'm curious to know what they do moving forward. Next up, Alliance mobilization is being optimized. Alliance leaders and officers can now batch select specific quests to refresh. This is good. I suspect this is going to work just like recycling armaments. You could just hit the multi-select and then tap, recycle, and all of them go away. Same thing here. I suspect it'll work like that. Replaced the train tier 5 units with gain power by training units. This is great for people that want to just train tier 4. Also, a lot of these were, unit specific, like train X amount of power of tier 5 archers, right? Well, I don't want to train tier 5 archers, so I can't take that quest. So hopefully this is no longer unit specific. That is a good change. Completed quests will now be automatically submitted after 24 hours. This is also a good change as well for people that, log off and forget to submit it or claim it or whatever. That way they don't lock up that one slot for too long. Realm Mystique optimization added new enemies to the Realm Mystique and new chieftains to the chieftain stages, Alamanda shamans and Torgny. Very cool. Removed some stages, improved troop automation behavior, and lowered the stats of enemies in normal mode. Okay, so that's some pretty good changes there. Improved the balance of Canyon Clash matchmaking. All right, that's good. We need to see balance for all types of matchmaking as well. Commander optimization moved Takeda, Cyrus, Chook, and Bertrand, and adjusted Chook and Bertrand's kit to better suit the battlefield environment of season 2. We already went over this. They're changing Chook from attack tree to smite tree, and Bertrand is going from a rally commander to an open field combo damage commander. Now, just at quick glance, it doesn't look like anything here has changed since the last time we covered this, so I'm not going to go through and change or go over this all again. It might be the case that something here has changed slightly, but if it has, you can let me know in the comments. Again, I don't remember exactly what they said previously, but yeah, you can check my previous video. It has these two commanders in the thumbnail if you want to know what is going to be updated for their kit. As you might expect, they also have updated their support skills. They've added them to the Wheel of Fortune in season 2, which Takeda, Cyrus, and Chook were already there on the wheel, just not in season 2. Bertrand is now going to go from a Mightiest Governor Commander to a Wheel Commander, and in season 2 added them to the daily special offer for season 2, increased the chances of getting them in the Legendary Tavern, added them to the season 2 Commander Trial, Returnee Shop, and Returnee Wheel events. That's pretty cool. The 4 commanders can no longer be swapped in the Legendary Commander Swap event. What I suspect they mean by this is swap to, right? You can't swap to them. So I suspect that if you invest in them in season 2, at the end of season 2, you could probably swap them away to something else, right? I mean, otherwise this makes no sense. Why would they be the only 4 commanders besides the gatherers that have a restriction? That would make absolutely no sense. So again, I suspect this means that you can't swap to them in the Legendary Commander Swap event, which, why would you? Now that they're like a season 2 commander, why would you? That would be like swapping to Saladin. Why would you want to swap to Saladin, right? Remove Bert from the Mightiest Governor, of course. Remove Takeda, Cyrus, and Chook from the Season of Conquest Wheel of Fortune reward list. That's weird. Why would they do that? Can you only get these commanders in season 2? Huh? I think the wording is off here. I think what they mean is in the game, right? When someone is only in Season of Conquest, you see this banner on the top here. It says that it's season 3 or later. Maybe they're referring to just like basically changing everything in the game that makes them exclusive to Season of Conquest. Very odd here. The 4 commanders can now be used in the Arc of Osiris Champions Olympia and Osiris League during season 2. Okay, very cool. Other changes. This is stuff that we covered here before in a face-to-face with the developers. Added Saddle of 1,000 Blessings and Hero's Hilt to the blacksmith. Added the new accessories to the Season of Conquest combat shop. Added the new accessories to Holy Knight's Treasure Core rewards. So we're getting 2 new accessories, one for smite and one for combo. Saddle of the 1,000 Blessings is probably for combo damage. Hero's Hilt is probably for smite damage, because as you know, combo is mainly a cavalry thing, and so saddle cavalry, right? And so combo, boom, there you go. Same thing with Hero's Hilt. That's mainly for infantry. Smite is mainly an infantry thing, even though it is on ranged as well. All in all, they didn't give us any updates here on what they would do. I have no idea why, but I'm interested to see what these are going to be like, right? I mean, like what's the, I mean, we're just gonna have to throw out some of the things that we've already invested in, like Greatest Glory, right? That's kind of unfortunate. I mean, I didn't really invest too much into this, but it's still a legendary accessory that do I just dismantle it, or like what am I supposed to do with that now? I have no idea, but all in all, I'm excited to see what those actually do. Alliance Stronghold optimization added the ability to plan Crusader flags. We talked about this before. You could pre-plan their placement. Once required requirements are met, the flags will automatically begin construction. Added a celebration animation to the winning side of intense alliance flag and alliance fortress battles. That's pretty cool. This is going to be great for people that are kind of spectating and watching on to these fights. Armament transmutation guarantee system. Whoa, baby, this is a big update. Let's take a look. If you've locked a combat attribute, attack, defense, health, march speed, or damage, continuing to transmute an armament will trigger the guarantee system. Every 10 transmutations, you're guaranteed to receive an attribute for the same unit type as one of your locked attributes. So it's going to look and be like, okay, well, you've locked infantry health, so we suspect that you want infantry stats. We will guarantee you get some amount of infantry stats after 10 transmutations. That's really, really good. After 30 transmutations, you're guaranteed to receive a 2.5% or higher attribute for the same unit type as one of your locked attributes. Again, this is really big. For those of you that don't know, 2.5% is about the cutoff point for whether you want to, re-roll or not, right? If you have lower than 2.5% of a given stat for an armament, then it's probably a good idea to re-roll it. If you have 2.5% or higher, then it's not a priority to re-roll that slot because the probability of you getting something better is lower. This is really big. Okay, after the update, governors will be compensated with transmutation crystals based on how many they've spent. This is awesome. I should be getting at least one transmutation crystal back from this as of late because I've been resetting a single armament for my pincer formation quite a bit. Quality of life improvements: adjusted the thickness of march path lines on the map to make them less distracting and obtrusive. This is really good. Honestly, these march path lines basically don't do anything anymore. Like, I don't need to know where my, I don't know, am I crazy? Do I need to know where my allies are marching to? Like, I mean, I guess it's kind of useful so everyone is on the same page and you don't have to like read markers, you just know. Even though you should be reading markers, let's be real, not everyone is. So I mean, I guess it's good. These march path lines better be tiny, right? They better be tiny on the map because we really don't need them that much anymore. Path lines for rallies, obviously you want, but like for marches, I don't really know. Anyway, added a search/return switch setting. If enabled, the search button will change to a return to city button whenever you select a troop for mobile version only. So basically what they're talking about here is if we're on the map, this button in the bottom right corner here, the search button, and I can click this and search for whatever. In war, this is useless, right? Why would you want this in war? You're not going to be gathering during a war. So what this is saying is you can actually change this button to a return to home button, which is awesome, right? That's going to be a big deal for mobile. I'm very excited to see how that affects mobile gameplay, and hopefully that helps, because as you guys know, on PC there's a hotkey on your keyboard. I can just press the R key on my keyboard and my troops start going home, right? So PC's already had this. PC does not need this. And so that's a really good thing. Optimized target selection in battle. Even when quick command is disabled, hold and drag commands will still consider which attackable targets you've selected. Quick command and attackable targets can be configured in the setting. This is always good, right? Optimizing target selection in battle is a big deal. Really happy to see this. Title scheduling optimizations. Added an option for governors to give up their current title from the city management interface. That's very good. So when people are done with Duke, they can just get rid of it. You can now set a city hall level requirement and title reservation duration for each title. This is also really good. You don't want like really, city hall level 22 players trying to take Duke from somebody during a war, right? Like that would be awful. So that's really good. Adjusted the wait time for a title to take effect when applying for a time slot you're currently in. Awesome. Added the spin ticket item to the season 2 Wheel of Fortune. Spin tickets are required to spin the wheel and can be obtained from bundles or purchased with gems. This is a huge quality of life improvement. Added the option to block governors by searching for their nickname or ID. That's awesome. Adjusted the background color of some item icons. Has no effect on the effect of the items. So I already noticed this in the game. If you look at the keys, right, we have silver keys are purple now. That's crazy. Silver keys are actually garbage. Purple implies epic rarity, right? Same thing with the gold keys. They've been changed to legendary. The orange background for gold keys implies that this is a legendary quality item, which makes no sense considering the value of gold keys in the end game is virtually useless. A gold key is horrible in the end game. You're telling me that gold keys are of equivalent value to crystal keys? and to sovereign keys, they're also legendary, right? That's crazy. I have no idea why they made that change, but they did. So anyway, I suspect they will continue to do things like that. Based on the color scheme here, my gold key is more valuable than my flux scripts, apparently. Why? How? What? I don't understand that. Anyway, that's pretty much going to do it for the update, guys. There's been a lot of things that they have sort of teased in face-to-face with the developers or in-person meetups that we now see are coming in the upcoming update. They've also revealed new things like the change to the 40% all damage buff going to 30%, other events coming soon. So lots of things coming to Rise of Kingdoms, and I'm very excited to see how this affects the game. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about these updates. Are you excited for this? Do you think the changes to crystal tech might not be a good thing, or you're excited they're a great thing? Let me know in the comment section below, and while you're down there, consider dropping a thumbs up on the video. It really helps out the channel a ton. It helps push this video out into the YouTube algorithm so other Rise of Kingdoms players might see it. And while you're down there, consider subscribing to the channel and clicking the bell to be notified the next time I upload a Rise of Kingdoms video. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch. I will talk to you guys again soon. Peace.